What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be discussing Colin Kaepernick. We're going to be looking at him as a football player. That's really what I want to focus on. So, just today we had an article come out this morning. Hard to believe Roger Goodell, NFL truly want Colin Kaepernick back in the league. This was from NBC Sports. But if you scroll down, they discuss. Let's see. It has been almost 42 months since Kaepernick appeared in an NFL game. In a short span of time, he went from being the NFL's most sensational quarterback, leading the 49ers to the Super Bowl, to its most visible pariah. From being the league's new wave to not good enough to make rosters with three quarterbacks whose combined gifts might be equal half of his. Okay. So like I said, this was just June 19th, 2020. Now, let's go back to one other article. Let's see. We're going back to 2016. So this is prior to Kaepernick ever taking a knee, because he took a knee in the last preseason game of 2016. That's when that all started. So, as defenses studied, Kaepernick didn't advance mentally. All right. So yeah, he didn't advance mentally. He's saying he wasn't able to make all his reads. He made the wrong reads. He didn't know what coverage the defenses were in. He was really a read option quarterback, either hand it off or make the first read. Okay, so that's what NBC Sports was saying prior to a knee ever occurring. Let's go look at his 2012 stats. So, 2012, this was the year Alex Smith was the initial starter of the 49ers. He got hurt, but he was 6-2 and 1. I mean, he was having a hell of a season. He gets hurt. Colin Kaepernick comes in, ends up 5-2. There was a little bit of quarterback controversy, but they let Kaepernick keep the job. He went into the playoffs. He dismantled Green Bay. That's one of my favorite games that he's had. Actually, it was fun to watch that game. Absolutely dismantled them. Beat the Falcons, and then lost in the Super Bowl to the Ravens. Now, it's I should absolutely say that the 49ers probably had the best roster in the last 20 years in 2012. This roster was insane. Let's take a look at it. Starters and rosters. So we had Alex, but Kaepernick took over after he was hurt. Frank Gore, future Hall of Famer. Bruce Miller, he was actually a great blocking fullback. I believe he got in trouble. I don't remember exactly what happened with that, but he was a great blocking fullback for quite a few years. We had Crabtree. He was young. I actually had a hell of a season. Mario Manningham, Vernon Davis, he's pretty damn good. Our offensive line is full of first-round draft picks. I mean, we have Anthony Davis, Joe Staley, and Micah Potty on the same O-line. Our run game was insane. And, I mean, Jonathan Goodwin, he was a fifth-rounder, but... And then Alex Boone. Alex Boone he was playing his ass off for quite a while. Our defense was insane. Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, I mean, that's a future Hall of Famer, and, I mean, Navarro Bowman was one of the best linebackers in the league at that time. I don't think he'll be a Hall of Famer, but Dante Hittner and Deshaun, they both hit hard. Yeah, our team was stacked. We had one of the best defenses and one of the best running offenses. Our offensive line was insane, and yeah. So, okay. So that we looked at 2012. Let's look at some efficiencies real fast. See what we look like. So we weren't really good on third down still. Just weren't that good. 62%. It's mid-tier. 2013. Alright, let's take a look at 2013. So we went 12-4 that year. That was the year that we didn't beat Seattle. It was the year of the Crabtree in the back corner of the end zone, tip pass, and interception. Yeah, so we lost to Seattle that year in the playoffs. Okay, so we didn't get another repeat at the Super Bowl with what was probably still the best roster in the NFL. We didn't get back to the Super Bowl. But let's take a look at our roster. Let's see. Kaepernick, Frank Gore, so we had a Hall of Famer. Bruce Miller, still a great blocking fullback. We had Anquan Bolden that year. We had just got, tore up by him in the Super Bowl, and now we have him. Big-bodied receiver, Vernon Davis. We still had him. He had a hell of a year that year. 13 touchdowns that year. It was one hell of a year. So now we have Anthony Davis, first-round draft pick. Joe Staley, first-round draft pick. Micah Potty, first-round draft pick. Jonathan Goodwin and Alex Boone returned. And, again, they were really good. That offensive line was insane. I mean, Frank Gore had some huge holes. And then, I mean, our defense is still one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. It's insane. So, okay, so that's our 2013. We'll go back. We'll take a look at the stats, see what happened. So, third down, we still were not very efficient on third down. Let's look at Cap. So Cap went 12-4 that year. He had a hell of a team to do it with. 58.4% completion. So his completion rating dropped down some. This was actually in the bottom half of the league now. Probably, I would guess 24 to 26 this ish. And then let's scroll over. So he's still low. He's low on yards per game. Yeah, he's low. And then 8.6. That's huge. 8.6. So that's nearly. It's like 1 out of every 10 attempts to 11 attempts. I mean, that's a pretty large number. So and sacks are a drive killer. That's really high. It's probably the worst in the league. Yeah, that's terrible because that's what kills your drives. All right, so that was 2013 and 2012. We've done both of those. Let's check out 14? Yeah. All right. So after not being able to beat Seattle again, he never really beat Seattle, maybe once in a regular season. So couldn't beat Seattle. Come back. This is the following year. We still got Harbaugh. Let's see. Let's check out our starters. So, yeah, we lost some of our defensive. Zier, Patrick Willis retired. Yeah, Bowman ain't even in there because he had got hurt in that Seattle game. But anyways, on offense, we have Colin Kaepernick. He's our offense quarterback still for the year. Frank Gore. So, we still got a Hall of Fame running back. Bruce Miller. We still got a great blocking fullback. Anquan Bolden still. We still got, a really good receiver. A great receiver. I loved Anquan. Especially with the Cardinals. And I'm not a Cardinal fan. But he's probably my favorite Cardinal. So, yeah. And then we got Michael Crabtree still. We still got Vernon Davis. He's one of the better tight ends in the league at the time still. Jonathan Smith. So, yeah, he wasn't very good. But we still had Joe Staley. We still have Micah Potty. We still have Alex Boone. Our offensive line was still, it's not too bad. That's not bad at all. Defensively, we still have Justin Smith. We still have Ray McDonald. Those guys were both good. Really good. Justin Smith is probably a future Hall of Famer. Chris Borland. It sucks that he retired when he did. It was after this year, I believe. But that kid was a stud. Ahmad Brooks, he still had some good play in him. Culliver was decent, and then Eric Reed and Bethea. So we were still a team that should have probably won games, especially with the offensive side of the ball. We were still really good offensively. Well, we should have been really good offensively, as far on paper if you look at it. So let's see what we did. All right. So had a decent thing until the closing out, but boom, 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 boom. So he couldn't get it. He couldn't get us into the playoffs. There's 5 games. He lost 4 out of 5. But there was a lot of controversy going on with the Niners at the time between Harbaugh and the GM, and it was messy. And I won't hold that entirely against the guy, but okay. So let's check him out. So 60% completion. That actually went up a little bit. It's still not great. It's probably mid-pack at best. Probably 20th-ish. And then we got, let's see. So his QBR, 60.9. That's not high at all. It's pretty low. And 9.8. So he's getting sacked even more. Now it's really close to out of every 10 attempts he's sacked. That's a drive killer. It's a drive killer. So it's drive killer. Like, that's all I can really say. Third down percentage, 40. I mean, it's a lot better. Still isn't the greatest, but it is a lot better. But still, we got drive killer after drive killer after drive killer. I believe it's like something like, if you take a sack on a drive, I think it's only 6.7% of the time does that drive result in a touchdown. So you're getting sacked 1 out of every 10 plays. A drive's what? I mean, it could last 10 plays easily. So, yeah, it's terrible. That's actually really bad. So that was what, 2014. So then let's go to 2015. So Jim Tomsula takes over. That was a mistake. I didn't ever want that to happen. Let's see. That's the year Kaepernick got hurt, I believe. So he had to have shoulder surgery on his non-throwing shoulder. But he didn't really have to have it. He could have waited till the end of the year, but he underwent it for whatever reason. So let's look at our roster. So we had Cap, we had Aaron Quan, we had Torrey Smith. So we had a burner and a big body still. Garrett Selleck, yeah. So we no longer had Vernon Davis, but Vance McDonald was pretty good. Joe Staley still, Alex Boone still. We lost some of our offensive line. I think Iapati went to the Cardinals at that time. We had Navarro Bowman back. He was never really the same player though. But we did have Aaron Lynch. He had a lot of hype early on. He had a few good year or so. So our defense, we lost a lot on defense. Our defense wasn't nearly as good, and our offense, I will say, wasn't as good as either. I think our running back was probably Carlos Hyde, but let's see. Yeah, Carlos Hyde. Yeah. So anyways, let's see. How did we do? So Cap played. He started eight games. Went 2-6. 59% completion rating. Not that good. I mean, even Blaine Gabbert was better in completion rating, and Blaine Gabbert is terrible. 6-5. I mean, we're not really looking at touchdowns and interceptions, though, to be honest. It's not the most important stat. Sustaining a drive is probably the most important. If you can't sustain a drive, then it don't really matter. So this guy, 10.3. So now he is getting sacked once every 10 plays, and then a little bit more. So once every 10 plays for a long time, and then like take a sack on the 9th play. So more drive killer. 30% third down conversion, efficiency. That's terrible. So he played 8 of these games. So I mean, he still accounts for a lot of this. It wasn't good. It was really bad. Okay, so it was the 2015 season. It was under Tomsula. We knew we were firing Tomsula. And yeah, so Cap was in jeopardy of losing his job. Well, even then, he was pretty much losing out to Gabbert. I think he was getting benched, and then he ended up electing for the surgery on his shoulder. And then 2016 comes along. All off season, you hear how Gabbert is beating him out. I mean, even NBC Sports was reporting it. A defensive study to Kaepernick didn't advance mentally. That's August 11th. So, all 2016, Gabbert's beating him out, which is sad because Gabbert's not good. All right, so let's look at our roster. Starters roster. What do you have to work with? Carlos Hyde, and at this time, I'll say Hyde was pretty good at this time. He hadn't taken a beating in the NFL yet. He was a pretty good running back at the time. He still had fresh legs. Curly, I mean, when your best receiver's Curly, well, he wasn't his best. He still had Torrey Smith, but Curly was probably the most consistent. He was sure-handed, sure-handed slot, but he's not a good receiver by no means. Quentin Patton, he was a miss, and then we had Torrey Smith. So Torrey Smith's still a burner. He's still a decent quarterback. I mean, Flacco worked with the guy and did fine. And then Vance McDonald. Vance McDonald's he was solid. So then we got Trent Brown, Joe Staley, Beatles, Kilgore, and Garnett. It's a shaky offensive line. I won't say it's the greatest. We still had Staley, still led by someone decent. Kilgore wasn't too bad. And yeah. DeForest Buckner. So our defense was nothing special. Nothing special at all. We had Jimmy Ward, Eric Reed, Bethea. I mean, this was still when Ward was playing nickel. And then coming in at safety every once in a while. So our roster wasn't the greatest. And Chip Kelly was, I mean, don't get me started on that guy. But we probably should have won more than 2 games. I mean, if Kaepernick was what everybody says he is, I think we would have won more than 2 games. Alright, so leading up to preseason, it's Gabbert's job. So, 4th preseason game of the season, Kaepernick decides to take a knee. Okay? That's when Kaepernick took his knee. So, he was already on his way out of San Fran. He was on his way out of San Fran in 2015. It was well speculated that he would actually lose his job prior to ever getting his bonus. And he was. They did try to trade him prior to him ever getting that bonus. So he was on his way out of San Fran. And then you have this season right here, 2016. It was abysmal. So they realized Gabbert sucked. I mean, it wasn't hard to figure out. But even in his sucking, I mean, look, he's still taking way less hits. He's getting rid of the ball. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with reading the defense. And then a lot of that has to do with, instead of making the read and the check down, he takes the sack. Because Colin Kaepernick's a one-read quarterback. He still is. So, goes 1-10 this year. And here's the one that everybody wants to harp on, 16-4. But the problem is he couldn't sustain a drive. He's getting sacked 9.8% of the time. That's huge. Again, that's almost 1 out of every 10 plays. And like I told you, that's a drive killer. It just is. A 49.5 quarterback rating. That's probably the worst in the league that year. I mean, I would assume it is. It's terrible. He lost an OT to New York Jets. I mean, I wasn't even planning on talking about that, but it happened. Let's see. What else can we go to? So, we can take a quick look at his percentage. Double check me on these completion percentages. Let's see. Where you at? There you are. So, 62. Alright. I said middle of the pack. And he was about 3 above. Not bad. That was his first year in, though. No film on Kaepernick. No nothing. 2016 comes around. 31st. I'm not sorry. That's not 2013. So 2013. 31st. 2014. 25th. 2015. 29th. 2016. 26th. This guy's out of the league. This guy's out of the league. This guy can't get a job. This guy has always been hot and cold. This guy's out of the league, I believe. He may have a job, I don't know. Yeah. So that's 2016. That's his last year. So he's always been bottom of the pack, and well, except for the 1 year, he's been bottom of the pack in completion percentage. It's a huge part of being a quarterback is being able to find your target. So not only is he throwing incomplete passes, but he's taking sacks 1 out of every 10 plays. So throw an incomplete pass and take a sack, that drive's done. It's done. And then on top of that, so his whole offense was either hand the ball off or no, throw it to the first read. So he's just watching that defensive end / linebacker, whatever he's doing out there, making that one read, and then that's that. And half the time, most of the time he wasn't completing it. You've seen his completion rating. So look, and then on to top this off, his early seasons, he had Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator, which is the same guy that's the offensive coordinator for Jackson. And Jackson's flourishing under that read option because he does that quite a bit. He's flourishing under it, but he's also a lot faster than Kaepernick, and he's a better quarterback than Kaepernick. Kaepernick's not that good. Takes a lot of sacks, throws a lot of incomplete passes. And he's 32 years old at this point, and he's never really progressed as a quarterback. Never. Do you think he's going to progress now? Now that he's 32 years old, he's going to magically progress? He wasn't showing any signs of progression before. That's all I have to say about Kaepernick. I hope he does get a job, just so you guys can see him again as a football player and watch him get sacked some more.